Mayor, we
Yes.
don't know if it's on.
It's on now, sorry.
Okay, it's on now. Okay, because now your speaker was off.
Okay,
Sorry.
cause I can see it on the big screen here when it is on, okay? So the first, Conseil Alice, General Government, Gouvernement Général, and I'll pass it on to the chair, to you, Conseil Alice.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. There's 2 items tonight. So, and the first one is a discussion regarding efficiency funds. And correct me, Alicia, I'm just going to give a short summary, and I'll give you the floor after. But this funding, we have it already, that money, right? It's not new money, it's existing money. So what you're proposing now, it's a list of items that we choose for the rest of the money that we have. So is that a good summary? And now you want tonight for us, we need to figure out which one we want to go ahead. So there should be a lot of question about that. So I'll give the floor now. And what I'll do, I'll start again with Yvonne with comment, and we'll go around till there's no comment, other question. And Alicia, you ready for that?
Yep.
Okay, so Yvonne, do you have any question regarding the memo that Alicia sent us?
Well, I would have liked to heard it from her, but
okay, Conseil Yvonne, I think you're right. Sorry about that. I did a summary, and maybe Alicia, you should have the floor before we ask questions. See, I was trying to save you some
no, that's okay,
Alicia, but okay, Alicia, you ready?
I am ready. Yeah, and now the pressure's on, and I'm not sure what I'm going to say and how I'm going to expand on this, but yes, this is the funds that we received actually in 2019, and we started off at that time looking at the strat plan and the operational review, and then we got separate money for the operational review, and then COVID hit and the whole world kind of stopped, and we haven't ever come back to any of these projects, and we didn't look at the rest. So of that 725, we have committed that we are going to bring the strategic plan back, that the community strategic plan is going to come back. And we have committed some of the funds to this contract position that we said we were going to hire this year. So, it'll be part this year, part next year, this contract position to help us kind of manage a number of these projects. So there's about $150,000 kind of committed there, just kind of based on estimates of what the strat planning process might cost us. We won't know until we go back out to RFP again where we're going to land on that, but sort of that's what I've used for an estimate. So then there's just a number of other projects that I've put on your memo here, and certainly there were some other projects, but some of these things are things that either we've talked about for a while at the council level or at the admin level, or we've had these things. So I just wanted to, these are why they made it sort of back on the list. So the fire master plan. And we have talked about this at council a couple of times, just as far as this is what's going to take a look at all the fire stations that we have, take a look at what our response time is, take a look at what response strategy is, are our fire stations in the right location, what kind of work needs to happen on them, and just take a look at all of that wrapped up together. And certainly is sort of a really necessary thing to help us plan into the future with fire services and emergency services. Asset mapping, that's a little bit simpler one. We have GPS locates on some of our infrastructure, but not on all of our infrastructure. And certainly we have a lot of infrastructure. And these small things, you don't think about, but actually having somebody, the software and the manpower to go around and actually map out where every single hydrant is and roll that back into our GIS system so that we can keep track of stuff, and we keep track of what materials things are made of, what age things are, and it just moves towards asset planning, as well as letting us sort of get control over some of these things. With culverts, we know where our culverts are, we know where our big culverts are, but to actually have it pointed on every road at what spot the culvert is located and things like that. Water rate study, and a few of you have been through this with us, and I think Yvonne, you've actually sat on a committee maybe twice that we've looked at water rates, and kind of always come back that internally we simply don't have enough data and enough resources to look at it. So this would be looking at getting a third party professional firm, and there are a few that do this, to take a look at our forecasts, our water volumes, and take a look at, when we look at our water bylaw right now, we have all these base rates for various commercial things and how we build it. And each year we just kind of keep rolling it forward without actually really assessing, how much water does a car wash take versus how much water does a hairdresser take, and are our base rates actually recovering the right amount from the right commercial industries versus what residential is. And we need someone who can kind of look at that picture and look at our volumes and provide us with some better guidance going forward on what our rates might be. Waste transfer station study. This is just looking at, whether it's feasible, what the environmental impact is, how it might impact post-closure or closure. And waste transfer stations can mean a lot of things. It can mean that we actually just have a transfer station right at the shack at our landfill site, so that people aren't driving back up and around the landfill site. And it can mean consolidation of things. It can help us with planning for what our lifespan of our landfills are and things like that. But again, just have someone look at all of those pieces for us and tell us whether this is feasible, what it would cost. Again, not anything that we're going to do immediately, but so we've got the plan so we can move with things. The housing development strategy and the warehouse or land use feasibility, they actually both come from the ECDEV priority list. So in our ECDEV budget, those projects were there with some funding allocated that, Steph was going to go out and look for funding sources and hopefully get funding sources for that. I said, you know what, I think that we can fit them into the efficiency because and modernization, because they do impact urban planning, they do impact development, and all of that will create, efficiencies in our infrastructure systems and, maintenance going forward and taxation going forward and things like that. And it gives an easier solution, particularly with the federal election just being called, on what some of those other funding sources might have been, or if we'll end up with kind of really stalled funding sources. So Steph and I had a discussion, and we put them on this list because I think that we can have them fit into this efficiency and service delivery fund as well. So I had given some, just kind of, I didn't include them in here because they really are sort of ballparkish figures, but the potential projects that you see there have got kind of an estimated cost of 525. We've got 150 already committed. And so that's going to use up most of the 725. There is still a little bit. But again, as I said, some of these studies, we won't know until we go out to RFP what they really are going to cost us. We've just used some really rough numbers from, what studies in the past have cost, but some of those estimates are a few years old now. I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Alicia. So I'll go, Yvonne. Can I ask you now?
Yes.
Okay, go.
Thank you, Alicia. You clarified things. Now, unfortunately, all the above are there are good ideas there. And realistically, I just, it's hard to choose, but the water rate study was something that I always wanted to look at. And that is one that I certainly like to see happen. And, we're always, housing development strategy is very important as well, but most of them are very important as well too. So I would, this is my thought on this list here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, now I'm going to go to Conseiller Fisher.
I actually thought that we had to pick and choose from this list, but I believe what Lisa is saying is your estimate that this is going to cost about 525, and we probably have 575 left, so we can do this whole list. And great, if we can do that list, let's do the whole list. So fabulous, thank you.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear and understand that.
Okay, so Conseiller Larabie, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm kind of happy also to hear that there's enough funds to do all of this study. I know for a fact about the waste transfer station. Definitely our dumps, our waste, solid waste dumps are getting, some of them are getting to capacity, and the transfer station will probably be the way to go in the near future. So if we cannot renew a cell block with the MOE. So yes, I'm really happy about this. I support this. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm Conseiller Mallette.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm also in agreement with Elisa's recommendation. I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, Conseiller Revida.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I'm in agreement. There's one issue that I have. In the event that the price tags came in a little higher than what you anticipate, Alyssa, which one do you think would be drop off if you had to choose? Like, the thing is that, we're going in with the assumption that the 525 and change is going to cover the whole list. However, you basically pre-stated that, however, those are based on previous types of studies. So if it did come in higher, and they most likely will probably, because there seems to be COVID cost to everything.
Mhm.
Which one would you think that could be less of a bang for our dollar?
So I've got sort of an estimate of 50,000 assigned to the asset mapping, and that would be the first one that I would drop. It's one of those ones that, it's nice to sort of complete the picture, but it can get delayed, a year. It can look for funding in other sources. There are other ways to get that one. Then that would be the first one that I would drop off. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That assures me.
Conseiller Sénécal. Denis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no issues with most of these proposals. The only one that red flags my sense of the community is the fire master plan. That really scares me. I think this is going to be a contentious issue. If we start moving the station location, which I have feared since I've been on this council, I've read between the lines all the way for 3 years. And the station location is a sort of like the police issue. And if we start moving stations from our community, it's going to create a lot of havoc. And that's destroying the fabric of our communities. Each community has their own little station. I don't think we can save that much money. We can't be that more efficient because every station helps the other station. I just think that if we're going to deal with this issue, it should be dealt with on its own in a separate matter, because this really scares me, and I would vote against everything just for that. So that's my opinion. I'm really worried about station location and emergency response. I think we're gonna, after you agree to the plan, then you can't reverse it, and that scares me. We should all think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Conseiller Denis. Madame la Mairesse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Madam Chair, can I direct some questions to Alyssa just before getting to the actual list?
Okay, Alicia, you okay with that? She's got it's coming your
Okay.
way. Go, Madam Mayor.
So out of the 150,000 earmarked, did the HR review that was done by KPMG, was that subsidized through the efficiency fund, or was it subsidized through another program?
So it wasn't an HR review, it was an operational review, and it was subsidized through a different program. We got separate funding for that project specifically.
Okay, perfect. And is there a timeline by which this money needs to be spent?
So there's not. I mean, this is money, and it was a a really strange rollout, and there was very little guidance. And Municipal Affairs has really said that at the time that they gave the money, that there wasn't a timeline. But they said, if you're still sitting on the money 5 years from now, they might want to know what's going on. But that was before COVID happened and before the world sort of stopped. So there's not a timeline, but I expect that we will eventually get some pressure to actually utilize the funds.
Okay, thank you. And I thought the list was quite extensive, but what about other initiatives that we've discussed in the last 2 years that we said we would explore? Because I know that through budget deliberation, we talked about strategically discussing the service model for public works, where they should be based, the equipment, the garage, and everything. I see that this is not on the list because we had that discussion, preliminary discussion, saying that at a later date, we should have a strategic discussion. So is there an opportunity that we can also identify other type of projects that could bring on some type of efficiencies and effectiveness as far as service delivery?
So certainly, and I think some of that discussion that we had with Public Works garages sort of stemmed a little bit from the fear that Councillor Senecal has, is that we were talking that, you know, when we look at the fire master plan, when we look at where fire station locations are, is there some opportunity for, you know, joining facilities or better use of facilities or tying up or things like that. But I think we sort of had tied it together a little bit with the fire master plan, but certainly, you know, if there are other considerations that all of council agrees on, we can look at other considerations. Certainly.
Okay, and the reason I bring it up, this type of fund that we got was a windfall, was for opportunities on how we can either streamline our services to look at how we can respond faster and how we can also entertain saving or reducing the cost. And in my mindset, when I heard that we have and I'm not looking at consolidating or moving facilities that we have, but how we can be more effective in the service delivery. And as an example, a grader that leaves the Verna garage to go all the way to Doe Keys, and that they have to drive 2.5 hours to get there and 2.5 hours to come back. So I thought we'd have that strategic discussion at many times. Also, we talked about our buildings. The discussion of the A-frame. What's the cost? Do we keep it? Do we not keep it? And other buildings that we own. So I thought that maybe that could have been an opportunity that the funds could have also been explored. As far as the housing and warehouse or land facility, I know that housing, they're having a homeless study that's being done by DSAB in October. The municipality's part of that study, but we at the Economic Development Authority approved to hire an ECDEV officer, and the ECDEV officer, one of the priorities would be to look into funding to assist us with the money that was set in the ECDEV budget for the 2 studies. So I'd want to see some wiggle room where other issues that council have discussed throughout the last 2 years to be added to the list so we can really narrow down what we want. So at this time, the 2 studies and the issue of the fire master, I mean, we have the most efficient fire service available in West Nipissing and established in each community. So I'm not willing to look at a study on how we can make them more efficient and reduce cost. I think that we have more priorities that maybe can help us in reducing our operational budget with the items that I've also identified. And I'd like to have a preliminary to see if it would fit within the budget.
Okay, any other comment? Okay, so my comment is that I like the idea of doing the study for some of the thing, but when you're talking about housing, the development strategy and all that, I mean, we have, I think, allocated $50,000 because they had mentioned it would be about $100,000 per consultation, whatever you call it, study, right? Stefan, where are you? Yeah, I think you had said about $100,000 each. So municipality had provided $50,000 coming from that fund also, right? I think so. That was $50,000 each for $100,000, right?
We had each study at 75. We had 75,000 for a total of 150. Municipality was committing 50,000 through the ECDEV budget, and we were hoping to get 50,000 per study from funding agencies. Now, If I can just point out that there's a federal election that's just recently been called. And so during an election and maybe, for a period after the election, they don't approve funding. So that's why we started looking, first and foremost, there's limited amount of programs out there that would fund these types of studies. We can certainly apply and look and work with the agencies and whatnot. But now that the election's been called, we could potentially delay these two projects into 2022 easily, before that any funding agency will look at providing funding for these projects. So we felt that because these projects, these studies do fit and meet the criteria of our special funding, that we can fund it 100% in-house, which means that we could then go and create the RFP and hire consulting firms to get the work done for us sooner than later. If not, we could be delayed till I don't know when. So I just wanted to put that out there, and that's why we added those two projects to the list of initiatives that we're recommending.
And this, I kind of agree with that. I think it need to be done, and I think I don't have an issue with that. I had a question and I forgot about it. Okay, when we're talking about the operation review and it's done, and it's because I think they were even paid at some point of time a couple of months ago, Alicia, is that I'm curious to see, because obviously we're going to have a report on that, right?
Yeah, so they were paid the first installment, which is what you would have seen. And yeah, I apologize with summer, it has just gotten off the radar, but it will come back to council with the final report. Yeah.
Well, where I stand right now, I think, and I do agree that the fire master plan right now, I wouldn't touch that right now. I think I would do, and there's other thing. So I think, I don't know if it's possible, but everything is possible, but I think and now you're saying the federal government, it's going to be hard to apply for blah, blah, blah. So what I would like to see, maybe some of the things that the mayor has spoke that be brought to the table, some other project, because I think it would be very good also to see, because we would be saving money if we could have the grader stay somewhere instead of traveling 5 hours to go somewhere. So things like that we could see immediate saving somewhere. So to have a little bit more option and to choose 4 or 5, and then we go and we'll see how much it's costing, because, and when you going and that consultation firm are not cheap. It's not cheap. Nothing is cheap, obviously, but they're not cheap. So are we even going to have enough to, even if we cut, if you say it's about $50,000 for the water rate, not the water rate, but the asset mapping, I mean, that's not much, $50,000. So is it possible to, I don't know, we can pick and choose some of them today that you start and get prices, and you might see if we got to be aligned with what we have less spend. Start with 2 or 3 at a time and then go up, because there's no time limit on it. Is that fair to ask, Alicia?
So really, that comes back to council. I think as we went around, that we actually had sort of the majority of council, I think we had 5 sort of approved the list as it is. Of course, if people have had second thoughts, from this last bit of discussion, but it really is council's choice on whether you want to approve some of the list, all of the list, approve some of it and come back later. But I thought that we had sort of majority on this list.
Councillor Yvon had said that he was approving the water and the other thing, but after that it was clarified that it was all the list. So I don't know if you would approve all the list, or because that's what he approved. The two things I think that he had mentioned that he was approving. So, but hey, I don't know. That's what I heard. So, Yvon, I'm gonna have the question, Yvon. Yvon, did you approve all the lists, and what did you approve? What did you thought you were approving? The mic is off.
In reality, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to take the list, but and I'll be quite frank with you. When I first read the list and I read Fire Master Plan, I said, realistically, and I have to vouch with what the mayor says. We do have a very good fire procedures to what we have with fire is excellent. And I'm just wondering why we would spend money on doing what they've probably done already. So, and that's why I had chosen others in light of that. And I was hoping, and knowing now that we can, the list was asked to be approved. There are other things that I would have wanted to see as well. And unfortunately, they're not here. But in essence, I would like to see something other than the fire master plan, if that's possible. Asset mapping was something that I didn't really think was in any need, but again, that's my thoughts. I wouldn't approve the whole list.
Right, so how are we going about? Any suggestion? Like, I think I'll ask,
May I?
okay, well, I'm gonna go around because I'm not starting with raise hand and Councillor Fisher so I'm gonna just go fast. Councillor Dwayne did his comment. Councillor Larrabee, do you have other comment?
It's Councillor Chris before me, Madam Chair.
Oh, well, gee, sorry. So Councillor Chris.
So I just want to speak to the fire master plan. I actually agree with the the locations of the stations might be sensitive in their community and all that good stuff. However, if you ask the chief if he'd like to have a fire master plan, he would say absolutely he wants a fire master plan. And it's not just about that. It is a big chunk of our budget, and if you would do a cost benefit analysis on these and the reports and things that will fall out, the fire master plan would probably be higher up on the list. So I think it's a mistake to cut it out. Thank you.
Okay, so Conseil Mallette. Wait.
Now it's me.
Larrabee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very satisfied with what's presented. Even if there's a fire master plan that comes negative to some areas, it doesn't mean that this has to be voted in. It's us council that votes if we accept it or don't accept it after the plan is put forward. So at the end of the day, if something comes that doesn't satisfy any one of us, we could always reverse the decision of that plan. So as for now, I'm satisfied with what's presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Conseiller Mallette.
Yes, the same thing. I agree with the recommendation from Melissa. And the fire master plan doesn't mean that we're going to change anything. It's just a study. They'll come to council. We don't have to do anything. We'll wait. We'll have the plan. That's all it is. We don't have to make a decision. It's just a suggestion.
Conseiller Denis.
Mr. Revita?
Mr. Revita. Sorry. No, it's, did I miss you, Dan? Yes, I miss you. Conseiller Dan.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Again, here we are spinning the wheels on something that was presented to us by staff saying that these are recommendations. I think that we should be respecting what the staff have presented to us as being legit. They feel that these are the things that meet the requirements of the funds. What the mayor alluded to is operational unit areas, which I would expect that the staff could make proposals from their knowledge of the organization. The master plan for the fire department, I think if you were looking at it from the perspective of, it just makes logic. Let's look at it. It doesn't necessarily, like Denis, I understand what you mean. I understand your point. However, like Councillor Larrabee stated, it's a plan. And the thing is that a community must have more or less a plan on how our fire services are going to look like. And once again, as Councillor Fisher stated, the chief would probably accept this open-handedly. So I would think that we should move forward on these things. We have the money to spend. We have the money to put it in a good place. It's been recommended by staff. They're the professionals. They know what they're talking about, and that we should move forward.
Conseiller Denis. Thank you, Conseiller Dan.
Well, again, I'm going to restate what I said before. I mean, I have no disrespect for staff. I know they have a job to do, but I also have a job to do inside the community. And I know how my community feels. And I know, and I've been through this at the mill and everywhere else. If you have a plan, it's going to be very difficult to backtrack on this. So what you're saying now, the outlining areas should be against this fire plan because the outside lying areas are going to lose their fire stations. They're not going to, if they're going to combine two fire stations, it won't be Sturgeon. It's going to be River Valley Field, Eving, whoever. We don't need to go there. I'm saying if we accept this plan, we're going to have a hard time voting against it. It's not just one vote or two votes, then you need the majority. So I say, let's not go there, leave it for the last, or we have a lot of issues in West Nipissing that we can look at. Leave it alone. We don't need it. It's not going to save that much money. And there's no reason for it. I know the fire chief would like to have it maybe, but you know, you can't have everything you want. And as councillor, I'm protecting my fire station. You know, I fought a long time for that fire station. And I think you guys should be fighting for your own fire stations in River Valley, Field, and everywhere else in the outskirts. We're the ones that are going to get screwed here. So be careful, guys. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not going to change my mind. I don't think that's a good idea for us. Thank you.
Okay, Conseiller, Madame la Mairesse?
Just a question before, do we have the special coordinator, special project coordinator hired?
We have finished interviews and actually made an offer, so you should have an update shortly.
No, I was just asking because I know that there would be support needed in the development of the RFP for all the projects identified and the length of time. Again, I'm going to state, I'm going to echo pertaining to the funding that we got was to look at how we can be more efficient and how we can try to reduce our cost and what's the best bang for the taxpayers. When I look at the budget for fire, it's the least expensive, one of the least expensive operational budget that we have as far as the department. If I'm not mistaken, we're looking at less than 3 million. What's the budget for fire services? Less than 3 million? If I'm not mistaken. And then when we look at other departments, then it starts escalating at higher amounts. Would that be correct?
Alicia? Cannot understand, your speaker is off, Alicia.
So is the fire budget?
I think she's looking for the information, Madam Mayor.
Oh, okay.
Because I see her looking at her screen.
Yes, so the fire budget is under 3 million, yes.
Okay, and when we look at other departments, we're looking at budget in excess. Some of them are beyond 4 million. So I'm trying to look at projects that we can have more gain for the taxpayers. So I'm not going to support the fire master plan. I would, and I'm not spinning my wheels. It's because also I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to look at other ways of doing business to reduce cost. And I'm going to state it again. Many years we've brought up the issue of buildings. We haven't had that strategic discussion, even sludge. If you look at the sludge that needs to be hauled and the cost, are there other ways and other opportunities that we can look at? And I'm still going to talk about the service delivery for public works as far as response time, because it has a direct impact on our taxpayers. So I'm going to support the water rate study because I think, you know, that's been in the talks for so long. And if we can equalize those rates, you know, based on usage, I mean, it's a fair representation for all taxpayers. Housing and land use, I'm interested, but I don't want to close the door in the opportunity of seeing if we can get other funding. the federal election is September 21st. It's just around the corner. And that's going to be one of the priorities, assigned to the ECDEV officer that's going to be hired. That's what we agreed at the ECDEV authority. But for the time being, I would definitely look at the waste transfer station and look at the water rate study and ask that we can get maybe some ideas of the cost if we were to do a building assessment of what we need, what we don't need, and the other issues that I've mentioned. I'm not willing to agree on the whole project list that's been provided, Madam Chair.
Okay. So, well, I'm going to have to go around again. So, Councillor Fisher.
So if we're gonna cut and splice and whatever, then to my mind, and I didn't want to do this, but I will now, I would say no to the water rate study because I don't have anybody really. I've got 40 people in my in my zone that pay water rate. So, and the same with River and Levine, like there's a big group of people that don't benefit from that. So if we were to cross things off, I'd cross that one off. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to be finishing by I'm going to say my comment, and after that, I'm going to have to decide what's been done. We can go around and we can, if you're doing this because of that, I think they were a reason to be giving. We're going to finish that. There's nothing going to be, so they can come back with something else, I guess. But at this point of time, what I want to say, clarify, and when staff bring us something, I mean, if we don't accept the recommendation, doesn't mean that because we don't know, they don't know nothing and they cannot do their job, because they're doing their job. That's what they're doing when they're coming to us and they're making recommendation, and they have base to base that. Obviously, they're not just putting that in the air. So it's pretty. I don't like hearing that because it seemed because they wouldn't need no counsel. If all of us around this table would be staff, there would be no counsel, and they would love it because they could whatever. They didn't have to lose the 3 hours now on once a month to get our approval. As a counselor, we have to look as a whole, and our job is to look at recommendation, not to bash recommendation, but to support them or not support them for whatever we have, as long as we have a rationale. And what I heard tonight, the people that don't support it, it's not because they don't have rationale, and obviously it's not because they don't support staff. Staff know what they're doing. There's no doubt in my mind. We're talking about Alicia, that's her expertise. We're talking about Mel when we're talking about planning. We're talking about, they know what they're saying. But for us, because staff, don't look at me with those big eyes. I don't, if you want to wink at me, Councillor Dan, it's okay, but I know you don't agree with what I'm saying, and that's okay. You don't have to agree. But at this point of time, if we go, and we're going to go around with every piece, and the sad part is somebody is going to vote against something because somebody else voted for something, which the rationale at the beginning was not that. I think they were rational said. So I will propose as a chair that I'm going to start with the fire master plan. And I'm going to ask the question in French and in English. So make sure that everybody will understand what I'm saying. So I'm sorry, Alicia, I think we would have went somewhere another way, but who is in agreement that who support to do the fire master plan, who support that goes to the project that Alicia, the money that Alicia had said. So who support that? Please raise your hand so I can. So there's 1, 2. So there are only 2 that support it. So obviously it's defeated. Not right now. Well, Councillor Marcel, Councillor Leo, I asked the question twice, and I'm not going back.
Madam Chair, if we're going to go back, with every item that's on the recommendation by staff, I mean, we approved, 4 of us approved what was proposed by Alyssa, and now we're going to, and then we're going to go every item. It doesn't.
I know, no, Councillor Noel. Voyons Noel. What do I'm thinking about Marcel Noel? It would be having, it would, anyways, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking. Councillor Mallette. Okay, Councillor Fisher said that then if we're not supporting the fire station, he's not supporting the water. So you don't have for a vote on everything right now. And it's not us that created that. So I have to go one by one, and staff, we can start at least with a list, because I'm hoping that some of them is going to be voted, right?
We can get through this much quicker than that.
Pardon me?
We can get through this much quicker than that.
Well, I can much, so do you support that? So if we say just the fire, we left the fire master plan beside, are you going to vote for the rest, Councillor Fisher? There you go. I rest my case. So let's not lose time. So who's in favor? And it was there's only two that showed hand. So I'm going to the second one.
No,
Who's in favor?
I think it was a that was done incorrectly. Procedurally, it was done incorrectly.
Why is so that was done incorrectly. So explain that to me. How would you do it, Councillor Dan? So we would vote for everything, and so we won't, it's going to be a yes or no, so nothing will be done. So you prefer to have nothing done than to have some project done. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I said.
Well, I mean, if we go by just saying who's in favor of the recommendation, that's what you're going to be saying.
No, it's not what I said.
Okay, so what are you saying then?
Madam Chair,
No,
could
no,
I
I'm
get
talking to Council
okay.
Dan was a conversation, so we'll
after if I could ask a question?
yes. Councillor Dan.
Thank you.
We were presented with certain recommendations by staff. We should be saying yes or no to all of them, period. Not having them out.
Okay, it doesn't matter to me.
No, but by having them out, what you did is you created divisiveness around the table.
Oh, I'm the one that created, okay. So we gotta go, no, the vote, I'm not going back to try, because some people don't have their way right now, it seems to me. So the vote is, who is in agreement with all the list that was recommended by staff? Who is in agreement? So we need 5 votes.
Could I get some clarification, please, Madam Chair? The question could be directed to Alyssa. In the fire master plan, would that involve closing station like Councillor Denis said? Because if it involves closing station, I will not support that. But if there's efficiency somewhere else beside closing station, then I would support it. But closing station, no way. I'm not for it.
So as yourself and, sorry, may I go ahead? Sorry, Madam Chair?
Yes.
So as yourself and Councillor Fisher pointed out that, a study comes back and it's a council study, and particularly with an issue like closing stations, if the parameters are the study, we're going to do a fire master plan, but one of the conditions is all stations stay put. That's the parameters that we send the consultant out to do the work with. And certainly, if you don't put that parameters out and the consultant does various things, then you always are working with a consultant on, yeah, no, that doesn't work for us, guys, and look at it a different way.
So, Madam Chair, could we fine tune this proposal that's brought in front of us to make sure that no fire stations are closed, and whatever else that asset mapping or whatever? Maybe there's a little bit of fine tuning we could put to this proposal that would please everybody, and then we could move with this.
So then Councillor Dan advice was that we have to approve everything or nothing, and then we got to play with it, because
if we could, yeah, if we could.
No, but this is what I find very, very particular, because if it would have been like me that proposed, and I did propose to go one by one, and maybe the rest would have been done, as soon as I said that, they said, okay, no. So I don't know if it's possible. Right now, it's not there. There's a lot more than the fire station in Lavigne and all that. There's it's a whole shebang. We're looking at it, and to say we just got to put that, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be inside. Maybe we should look at what we're asking when they came back to us, and yes, we're proposing, we're accepting it. Maybe that's the way it should be. Jay, I know you want to talk. Jay, I know you want to talk.
Thank you. Does that mean I can?
I said
well,
I don't think I would have gave you the floor, Jay. Yes, you can talk.
Okay, let me try and catch up with my thoughts here. So a plan involves analysis, and a fire plan involves the analysis of a variety of different things. How many firefighters do we need, and where should they be located? Do we have enough in certain areas? Do they have the appropriate equipment? Are they dealing with fires in an efficient way in North Manettville or in Laving? Should they have more equipment? Is the facility in North Manettville acceptable for future firefighting duties? Should we revamp the facility in Laving or River Valley or what have you? So the plan isn't, otherwise I would take that job for $100. It should be there, it should be there. That's not what the fire plan is. So a master plan articulates a lot more, the human resource aspects, the future deployment aspects. Do we have too much equipment? Do we have not enough equipment? You know, that kind of thing. And so that's what the plan would be. And then once you have the analysis and you bring it back, the plan becomes council's plan. So you end up saying, well, we like this, this, and this, and in future we agree with that, but we don't agree with that. So our final plan will be that, but that's a council decision.
Jay, you're not.
Leave it.
You froze up.
Analysis. Okay. So you get, it's like the, if I may finish, it's like your official plan. You know, you have a counselor who comes in, or you have a consultant comes in and does a determination, but it's council at the end of the day who finalizes the plan. I don't know if that was helpful, but to put a finer point on it, I would not be scared of moving a building unless council agreed that they wanted to move that building.
Madam Chair.
Yeah. Attends une minute, conseiller, I'm going to go around because I'm going to lose track, okay? Conseiller Yvon.
Well,
and that's the last time I go around. After that, we need to make a decision.
Not a question, point of clarification. Where does it state in the procedure that we have to accept the entire report as provided? Because the document did not state that. So procedurally, where does it state that we have to approve the entire document as presented?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. So what the chair was doing to walk us through the different projects was not against our procedures. I just wanted to clarify that, Madam Chair.
Well, the chair is chairing.
Yeah, so you were not going against your procedures. So I just wanted to.
Okay, so then I'm gonna go back and I know some people are not gonna like it, but I'm gonna go back and start over again once asked the question, and at least they can start with the plan right now. They don't have to wait. So who's in favor? Qui est en faveur du plan pour tout le service d'incendie dans le Nipissing West? Who's in charge? Who support the plan to do a plan? So I got one hand. I got, well, 2 hand, 3 hand, and 4 hand. So let's go to the next one. Mel, are you keeping track? Thank you. The second one, who is in favor of the asset mapping? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to happen. Who's in charge of the water rate study? So it's not going to happen. Who's in charge? Who wants the water transfer station study?
Waste transfer.
Waste transfer study. So I guess we're in favor of that. And then housing development strategy. Who's in favor of that? That's a going to. And who's in favor of the Weyerhaeuser land use feasibility? I'm in favor of that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the only thing that we're not looking is the fire master plan and the water rate study. So the rest, Alicia, you can, and then you will see, we can discuss after that, maybe other, or bring it back to see exactly what it would look to appease some of the people around the table. Okay. So that's number.
So, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just making sure, could there be an opportunity of additional projects brought forward and
They
future
come back with
meetings?
that and we can talk about it, Madam Mayor, and I think that's what I exactly said, that if there's other thing, we'll start with that, and after that, if there's money left, we can ask for, maybe bring what we think that may be on the table and do vote again. So, yes, I'm sure it's possible to do that at a later date. So that conclude that one, that discussion, and now the other one, which is a discussion regarding marriage license fee. I was surprised to see there's, but, so apparently we're charging $100, and most municipality around us is charging more, and there's a lot of work involved, because we had a kind of a picture that was provided by, I don't know, I think it's Alicia that gave us that, saying that the cost. So I guess the thing is, who would want to have a rate that is more aligned with the other municipality around it? And we should not provide a service and lose money, especially in those like that. I'm not talking about the services that we are, but we should not be when we're selling a marriage license. So first of all, is there an appetite to change it? That's the first thing. Who's in favor of changing the fee of a marriage license? So are we all in agreement? Oh my God, my heart's not good for my heart. And then are we going, the recommendation, which was reasonable because it aligned with the other one, was 150. Who's in favor of 150?
Cost recovery, which is
Well,
151. Yeah.
It's 150 that was proposed, so we're gonna go with the 150.
Madam Chair, may I say something first?
Yes,
So I just have one comment. Because this has not been changed since 2001, and we're not be likely to revisit it for a long time, why don't we just make it 160, and then if the purchase license goes up $10 or whatever, it still be, and we're still in line with the other municipalities. We
Well-
haven't got absolute cost recovery at 150. So why not just say 160? That would be
my okay, yeah,
Thank you.
I don't have an issue with that, because I don't have an issue with that, but I mean, we're going up from 100 to 150. That's a major increase to put another $10. But since it's something, Conseiller Denis, do you have a question?
I just have a comment that if the staff has recommended 150, we go with 150. They've been telling us all along that we should follow staff recommendations. So what's the issue? It's 150, it's 150.
And we had agree with that one, so I have to start. So, okay, staff, you have direction 150 for the license, marriage license. That conclude my part of the never short. At 7:47, conclude my part of general government. So, and I would like to request that we get that break right now before we finish the remaining. So that's not up to me, but.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, for chairing general government. If there's a request for recess, there has to be a mover and a seconder. So you are putting a motion to move that we go into recess immediately. Would there be a seconder? Conseiller Chris? So I'm just gonna let.
It is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Fisher at approximately 7:50 PM, and motion is tabled for a 15-minute recess, following which council will continue.
Those in favor? Carried. So Mel, what time is it right now?
7:50.
7:50.
Wait.
Okay, so 15 minutes. Okay, merci.
recording, so. Joanne, is that Lorraine?
Well, they've cut back on a lot of programs and they let go a lot of staff.
Or Mary Joanne, sorry.
We have 1 minute remaining before we restart. Is that correct, Mel? Okay, thank you.
We might have been because he married.
Mel,
Yes,
could you just give me again, because I think I made a mistake somewhere. What was approved really fast of the on the recommendation of the staff?
the
Asset
the
mapping.
asset mapping, the waste transfer station study, the housing development strategy, and the warehouser land use feasibility.
Okay.
Okay, so we've exhausted the 15-minute recess, so now we are ready to continue. The next committee on the agenda, le prochain comité à l'ordre du jour, développement économique, economic development, potential sale of 25 acres in industrial park. Do we have our Director of Corporate Services that may want to say a few words pertaining to this subject matter? Stéphane?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Essentially, we've received a request from a resident to acquire approximately 20 to 25 acres of land within our Leblanc Road Industrial Park for a development, and we are seeking council's direction as to having a staff the ability to negotiate a potential land sale for an economic development project.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions pertaining to the subject matter? None? I do know that I brought up the issue pertaining to the zoning, knowing that we have limited industrial land available in West Nipissing, but that potentially the type of development could also be located on other type of zoning property within the boundaries of West Nipissing. So if there's no further question, I'd like to see a show of hands based on the information that had been shared on what's being proposed, and we had and see who provides direction to staff to negotiate for this type of development, which we're told will not create jobs. And I just wanted to highlight that. So who's in favor of disposing approximately 25 acres of industrial land in the industrial park located on Leblanc Road? I'd like to be able to see a show of hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the direction right now is not to proceed with the negotiation. And hopefully that there could be other suitable location for this type of proposal. On procède avec le prochain comité à l'ordre du jour, the next committee, Community Services, Services Communautaires. There's 2 items on the agenda. One is the COVID pandemic update verbal, and I'll pass it on back to you, Stéphane, and to our CEO and potentially Alyssa based on the information to be provided.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Update that we have pertaining to COVID is that and I think this is known, it's been shared by the health unit, is that the vaccination clinics will no longer be held at the Sturgeon Falls Arena. The last one, I think, scheduled at the arena is on August 19th, this Thursday. After that, they'll host smaller type clinics, and they will be held at the Marcel Noël Hall, which means the COVID assessment center for testing will then be moved by the general hospital back into their facility. As the vaccination clinics, which are mainly for walk-ins now, are scheduled through the health unit, we will be posting information for the public. So by vacating the Sturgeon Falls Arena for the vaccination clinics, this means that we can start focusing on potentially opening up the arena. We are continuing to monitor COVID numbers like everyone else within the province, and we also follow directives based by the province and our local health unit. As we know for now that we are moving towards an arena opening, what that specific date is currently, we don't have that information to share today. I am in discussion with our user groups to determine their ICE requirements and how quickly they will be requiring ICE. And once we understand everyone's needs and wants, we'll be able to base our decision on having the ICE ready and having the arena open for our user groups once it's feasible to do so. So as of next week, we can start prepping. We have contractors scheduled to do maintenance on our ice plant. And as soon as it's feasible for us to do, and as soon as we have an opening date for the Sturgeon Falls Arena and the Verner Arena as well, we will be sharing that with council and with all of our user groups and our public. We're anticipating that potentially the Sturgeon Falls Arena will be made available in the mid-September range at this point. Again, that's a moving target, and we'll certainly come back to council as soon as we have more information into the public. Our pool and gym are still open to the public. We haven't had any issues. Everything seems to be going well. Again, no new guidelines or directives from the health unit or the province to this date. So we continue on with our plan and how we operate the pool and gym. So that's it from my end as far as our COVID update.
Okay, I'll see if there's any questions pertaining to your update, Stéphane, Conseil Yvon.
Thank you, Steph, for the update. Now, there's only something, maybe I missed out on this here, but you're mentioning that the closure of the arena will then move the facility up in the Marcel Noël Hall?
Yes, correct.
The needle, the vaccine will be given in the Marcel Noël Hall, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So I guess the other question I have is, I guess the pharmaceutical area places in town are also giving the needles as well, right? Is that correct in saying that?
I believe so. I believe some of our local pharmacies are in fact continuing on.
Okay, and so that will be kept going as well, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? None? Is there Conseil Rowley?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are we at the point still that we do need to have Marcel Noël Hall, since Councillor Yvon, like you mentioned, that we have the pharmacies, we even have local contractors that offered to. I had a phone call today to go and get my injections, and he's inviting everybody to go. So, do we still need to occupy our facility with the injection, or are we at that stage where we could probably just give it to the pharmacies and we could rent out our facilities?
That's 100% the decision of the health unit. I think we feel that there's a need to have public vaccination clinics within our community, and I think we will need to leave that final decision to our health unit.
Okay, thank you.
As a partner, we've been in there since day one, and they've made good use of that facility. And I think if they request to continue doing so, I would recommend that we continue that facility.
Thank you.
Conseil Elise?
Well, on the same thing, I think it's very important that municipality keep on being partner with the health unit, and they've been partners since day one. And I think it's essential. And also there's the pharmacy, but there's also, there's got to be mobile clinics. So the more we're going to have, maybe even if we only get 3 somewhere, at the end, it's adding, and that's what we need to know. I would like to, if somebody can, I don't know, Stéphane or Jay, because you're part of the committee, and even Madame Mayor, I mean, what is the West Nipissing statistic as far as the first vaccine and le premier vaccin puis le deuxième?
Well,
offhand, we have that information, and again, they keep vaccinating individuals within our community basically on a daily basis through pharmacies and whatnot. We could, look at what the health unit provided to us at our last emergency control group meeting, but those numbers have probably changed. I'm thinking that if somebody would like to find that information out, it's probably posted on the health unit's website, as current as it can be, but I don't have.
Yeah. I think we were provided that the actual rates for West Nipissing at the time that there was a critical issue that occurred, with the positive cases. And it was to look at opportunities on how we can motivate individuals to get the vaccine. And afterwards, I believe, Stéphane, we were told that we probably are short of 3,500 vaccines within the district to achieve the percentage outlined by the province. And if one reads up with local news as of this morning, they probably vaccinated within a range of 1,000, but that gives you the total numbers for the entire district. I don't think we were provided more than that one occurrence. What was the rate for West Nipissing? And the question was asked, and it's something what they try to do is to get all stakeholders, businesses, organizations, individuals looking at ways to motivate individuals to get the vaccine by doing the mobile clinic like they did in River, they did in Verner. Now they've come up with a form. They encourage that if there's businesses, organizations that would want a team to go within their workplace to get the vaccine, complete the form. I do know that the municipality posted that there was a clinic that was taking place at Etzig and Sons for the employees. So they're looking at many ways to try to motivate. And they've also identified that being the last stretch is the most difficult, but we all have, responsibilities as ambassadors of the community, as community leaders, to try to promote and encourage individuals to get the vaccine. It's to protect the community and protect our loved ones and even protect ourselves. With that, did I miss anything, Stefan?
I think you've covered it all.
Okay, thank you. Jose, Dan?
No, I think you missed one area. One of the issues that the health board was having with our end of the district was that at one time our numbers were lower than the rest. So they do feel that, and the numbers are still not as high as in the rest of the district. So proportionately. So in as much as that, I know Dr. Chirico is basically saying that, that we as leaders in the community should be, promoting that, getting people vaccinated and getting that last group. And the last group is going to be the more difficult group, in as much as because they are the ones that are refusing to, they are the ones refusing to be vaccinated. So if you have people that that are on the, on the edge or leaning, try to encourage them to get vaccinated, to get our numbers up, and to be more consistent with the rest of the district.
And I think that was, I was alluding to that fact because we are behind the 8 ball pertaining to the numbers within the district, but what is the current number? We don't know what it is now. So bottom line, and I do also want to extend a big thank you to the municipality, to every member of the emergency control group. There was an email that was shared at the end of last week saying how the health unit appreciated the cooperation and all the support and the help that was received by the municipality. And I really want to say thank you, Stefan, and to everyone involved as well, because we all have something to win from this. We all want to be able to win this pandemic, right? And the additional stress, the additional work, and adapting to the circumstances as they would arise as well. So I'm not too sure, Stefan, was there anything else pertaining to COVID update? Anything that Jay or Alyssa wanted to provide? No? Or is that it?
Yeah, at this time, yes.
Okay, thank you. The other subject matter is the update re downtown water fountain.
Again, Madam Mayor, through you, I believe we did discuss the water fountain back in June. I provided council with an update that our staff, with the help of Alan Carell, had found a solution to getting the fountain back up and running. It's operational right now, as it was in the past. What we've done is now gone ahead and our main concern was getting the connection for the water out of the private building that's located next to the fountain to provide us full control and access to turning the water on and off. So what we've done is, the fountain being operational, everything seems to be working well. We'll retain a contractor to come and take the pavers off so that Public Works or our water department can go in and then do the work required, run the pipe, and have a valve there for us to be able to manage our own water connection for the fountain. So after that's done, the fountain will just require basic maintenance on a yearly basis moving forward. But we're confident that the issues have been resolved, and with the water connection being moved out of that private building, we'll have full control over our fountain moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from members of council? Conseil Yvon?
Thank you, Madame Medes. Steph, with regards to the fountain, there's soil erosion that occurred there at one given time, and the fountain did sink a little, and it's off tilt a bit. Is there any possibilities of maybe bringing that up to a level and trying to secure it to the ground with respect to a solid base? Is that a possibility? I mean, we're not talking about something big here. We're just talking about.
Yeah, that's something, Councillor, that we will look at, again, through the help of Mr. Correll. He did say that there was some settling there, and that over years we did have a bit of erosion. So that's a project that we could potentially look at for next year, is basically just take the pavers off completely and then re-level the fountain. So we can put some thought into that and look at costing and make it part of our 2022 budget deliberation.
Okay, and I would think, if I may, Madame Medes,
Yes.
I would think that if we take the pavers off, we would look at that as well as do the water at the same time. I know it's operational, it looks great, and it's nice to see it working. But maybe when we do change, if we do bring a water main in, we could do both at the same time.
Yeah, I can certainly see if Mr. Correll could be part of that discussion once the pavers are being taken off for the water line to be connected, to see if there's anything at that time that can be done for sure.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Conseil Chris.
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay.
Dan. Dan had his hand up.
Conseil Rowley.
Thank you, Madam. I totally agree with Yvon. If we're going to be digging it up to bring a new service in for water, then definitely we're going to be there. So we might as well raise it up. There's also companies out there that I think there's one called Polymore where they inject foam and they even raise buildings with that. So that's how strong of a material that is. Maybe that would be a solution to that. But I'm sure that Mr. Correll and his team would know about this, so and he'll do the best for that. Thank you.
Okay. Conseil Leo.
Well, I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. Conseil Dan.
Thank you. I just want to pass on our appreciation from the perspective of sturgeon beautification. Thank you. It does enhance and it makes it much nicer that it's working. And we just want to pass on our thank you to you and your team, Stefan.
Conseil Denis.
I have no comments, just to say that there may be a good job there, Stefan.
Thank you.
Conseil Alice.
Well, I'm just want to say that I'm very glad to see that they were able to repair it, because it's definitely something very special for the town of Sturgeon Falls. It's the same as the clock in Verner. It's something that I'm glad they were able to repair. And so obviously, thank you, Stefan, for the work to make sure that maybe that around it is repaired and look nice. And obviously, beautification is doing a good job all over the town. So that's one place that we're looking at it last year too. Now it is what it was, and it will keep on continuing what it was years ago and for the next few years anyways, few hundred years, let's say.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. So if I were to summarize, everyone appreciates that it's operation. It's going to have a little bit more work that's going to be done pertaining to the servicing of the water. There was also what I heard motion that if we're going to remove the pavers at that same time, look at what would be required to be done. And would it be right? Would there be someone that agrees with this motion that if it's not too expensive to get the work done at the same time? Or do you want to report back to council if it can be done through operation?
Yeah, I think if it can be done through operations, once the pavers are out, and our department is there to connect the water line. If there's anything that can be done, it'll have to be a quick decision. So if we can do it through operations and it's a quick fix and it's not going to impact our budget moving forward, then I would suggest that we go ahead and do it. If it's going to have a major impact on our budget, then obviously we'll come back to council.
Okay. So this way, if the Sturgeon Falls beautification wishes to enhance the fountain avec la statue with the the purchase of the mermaid that they had that they want to put up on the fountain, well, at least they're going to be able to move forward with that if everything is fixed. Okay.
What do you mean that? Whoa. Okay, what do you mean on the fountain? Not on the fountain, where the fountain is? Maria?
Well, I don't have the specifics, but my main concern was I know that we got the fountain working again. I knew that there was some work that needed to get done as far as water. I also knew that the issue about leveling it, but I'm just stating what I read, that there's a desire to have within the area of the fountain. Yeah. So within the area of the fountain, I don't have the details pertaining to la statue la mermaid que le groupe de Sturgeon Falls Beautification a acheté. Conseiller Dan?
I think that we're talking prematurely. The discussion was supposed to be just the fountain. The committee is in the process of developing a plan. It could be there, it could be another place. So I don't think that we should jump to any conclusions about the mermaid going to the fountain. So,
well, I'm not jumping to the conclusion. I'm just going.
Madam Mayor, let me finish, please. I think a little bit of respect. Point being is there have been some discussions, and that we're just very grateful that the fountain is done and it's repaired.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. I'm not trying to be proactive and jumping to the conclusion. I'm summarizing a deliberation that was done to council. In the plan was to have the mermaid installed at the fountain. Now, where? But anyway, there was a design presented to council, but I think they're doing great work. And if there's a way that we can work with them, and if that's the plan, kudos. And if it's not the plan, well, at least we're looking at our infrastructure. So that's why it's on the agenda. Are you looking at your iPhone, Conseiller Dan, or texting? I need to ask. I've observed that a few times.
No,
if yes,
in fact, please. I'm looking at my paper.
Okay, thank you. No, c'est correct. C'est correct, Conseiller Dan. Sure. As chair, I'm not making any accusations. The phone rang, and since then, I've noticed that so anyway, I asked the question. Your answer is no. Greatly appreciated. Un grand merci. So this concludes community services. Maintenant, on procède avec travaux publics. We proceed with public works, and I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseiller Yvon.
Merci, Madame Mairesse. We have one item in public works. The item 7B has moved to J10 for this evening. Okay, so we'll discuss first item, which is the request for a stop sign at the intersection of King and Railway Streets, and that's the intersection where there's a coming down King, and you're turning a turn, not a sharp turn, but a turn, and then if you go straight, you'll proceed down into Twigs. All right. Now, someone is asking that a stop sign be put there. Okay, and now. You know, I looked at the situation myself, and the only thing is that if you're going to Twigs, it's a one way, so you're not coming back up the hill, and then the only amount of people that we would be serving for a stop sign is approximately 5 people. So in reality, I don't know, like there's so many places we need stop signs in the community, and I'm not sure that warrants an area for a stop sign, but I'm just throwing that out to you. It all depends on what council wants to discuss. If you want to, is Sean on? I'm not sure. If he wants to go further with that, I'm not sure if he wants to, but we'll open the floor. Did you want to add anything to that, Sean?
Well, I can give a little bit of background from the Ontario Traffic Manual, specifically Book 5 talks about regulatory signage. That way, maybe council can make a bit of an informed decision on that information. So basically, stop signs, and I don't quite understand what the intention of the stop sign was, if it was for traffic congestion or speed, but I'll just read a few excerpts from the Ontario Traffic Manual, and it may help you in making a decision. So on page 17 of book 5, it says stop signs are not intended to be used as speed control devices. Their uses should be limited to the control of right-of-way conflicts. That's pretty clear. In general, stop signs should only be used where traffic studies considering such factors as traffic speeds, traffic volumes, restricted sight lines, and collision experience indicate that the use of a stop sign is warranted. Then we would, if you choose to go to an all-way stop, then it again goes into, for the purpose of this warrant, collisions, you have to be taken into account. And for the purpose of a warrant for collisions, frequency is an average of 4 collisions per year over a 3-year period, which, to my knowledge, we don't have collision data supporting an all-way stop. It then goes on to talk about traffic volumes. Traffic volumes should exceed 350 for the highest hour recorded. So that in an 8-hour time frame, again, I don't have the traffic volume data. It also talks about the inappropriate use of an all-way stop. And again, as a speed control device, not the intended purpose for a stop sign, or as a means of deterring the movement of through traffic in a residential area. So those are excerpts. Council could research book 5. It's quite an extensive document, but those are kind of excerpts to hopefully help you make your decision.
Thank you, Sean, for that update. So I'm going to go around and ask what people think about the stop sign in that particular area. So we'll start with Councillor Chris Fisher.
So I would just, can I put a question back to Sean for you, Mr. Chair? So like the concerns that the resident has, they're asking for a stop sign, but perhaps it's not a stop sign, perhaps it's a yield sign. Is there, in your opinion, something that we should be doing there that, in terms of signage or whatever it is, that will alleviate this matter? Is there, in your opinion, is there something to do there or not? Thank you.
I can definitely look into that at other means, but I think the request was for a stop sign. So that's the information that I've gathered tonight.
Thank you.
Councillor Rowley. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I would also like to have a little bit of info on this, Sean, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chair. Because yes, we don't want to be throwing stop signs all over the place, and then if it's not warranted or if it's not for the right reason. So maybe if there's something that could be brought forward to control, because I know we did throw a stop sign on Dover Court way back when, and it did not resolve the problem. So maybe that's not the solution there. So I'd like to have more option. If you could bring that to us, Sean, I'd appreciate. Thank you.
Okay, and then there's Leo. Conseiller Leo?
Yes, same thing, Mr. Chair. Yeah, right. The figures as warrant for the stop sign at the moment, and maybe further on, Sean will have more info. So right now, we'll have to wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Conseiller Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the issue is that when there's a lot of business going down to Twigs, that's where people come off the freaking railway tracks and they buzz down and they just fly down to, well, then they get to the hill. Even for pedestrians, it can be dangerous because sometimes they don't even single. Some people don't single because people turn to their left. and a pedestrian has a hard time knowing where they're going. So I don't know, perhaps if there might be another way of deterring people from taking off from the railway tracks, flying down and getting to the hill. Because there are, places, people that live there, and some of them are elderly. And when they back out, there sometimes could be a safety issue. So perhaps maybe the stop sign's not the right solution. Maybe we have temporary speed bumps in front of maybe one of where the rentals are on that street. But there might be a solution just to deter people from taking off from the railway tracks and at 40 kilometers and then getting to the hill. I think that was the main issue, Sean. So I don't know, that maybe you can find something for us, Sean, as a solution.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Conseiller Denis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering if you're coming from the tracks out of town and you're going into you're automatically on the right side of the road. So you're just going down that twig. So I don't see the problem, but I think maybe Sean would be better equipped to look at it. Maybe a yield sign would be good. Anyways, I'll leave it to Sean to find something. Thank you.
Thank you, Conseiller Denis. Conseiller Lise Sénécal.
Well, one point, the yield sign, like traffic going through the track and going down. So who's going to yield? So that won't serve nothing to have that kind of sign there, because I think you might have a sign putting slow down or something like that. Speed bump. I'm floored that people are bringing that up, because that was brought up with Dovercourt for instead of the stop sign, and apparently we cannot have it in town because of the damage that can be due. So I'm floored to hear that. So if it's good for there, it should be good for everybody everywhere else. But Sean, leave it to you. And I don't agree with a stop sign either, because it's got to be a way maybe to I think the main problem is probably that you're right when they say they're going down through the track and they don't put their signal light to turn left. And if people are trying to cross, they don't see it. They think they're going straight down to the twig and they're turning left. So that could be dangerous, but be signed with like you see often that people are crossing, des piétons, something. But I have faith in Sean that if they could put a sign there, except a stop sign, that he'll find one. Or maybe make one, Sean. Here's your imagination, okay?
Thank you very much, Conseiller Lise. Madame Mérès, vous avez des questions?
I don't have a question. I agree, no stop sign, but definitely receptive if there's anything that can make the area safer for traffic and pedestrians. I'd look forward to receiving your information, Sean. Thank you.
Léo, tu avais une question?
Mr. Chair, why was 7B moved to J10?
Well, we received this information later this afternoon, Councillor Leo, and it was supplemental information for tonight's August council meeting, so it's moved to J10.
It's because there's a resolution. If council agrees with the concept, there's a resolution that follows. So instead of discussing and then moving with a resolution at a later date, it was combined all in one.
Thank you very much, Madame Mérès. Okay, so that concludes my section of the agenda. So I'll now move it back to you, Madame Mérès.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. We move on to sewer and water. And I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseiller Dan.
Thank you. And I'll look down because that's where my notes are.
Oh my God.
This issue has been brought to our attention, and Peter is going to give us his report. But I just want to, as an intro, state that this is going to be a long process, and there's a lot of hoops to jump in and jump over. And Peter and Alan have been working very hard with all the various components, because you're basically, it's a step by step. So it's not something that can be done overnight. And I just want to assure the population of Verner that the water quality, as Peter has been assuring me, is the quality of the water good right now, and we are maintaining the plant. We haven't given up on the plant. We're ensuring the plant is working well, because the point being is that we're not at a critical period. So this is not something that has to be moved forward tomorrow morning. So saying that, Peter, do you want to just give a little update on where we're at in the process?
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rovita, and good evening, everyone. As an update for the process, as part of the municipal class environmental assessment, meetings and communications were held with key agencies and stakeholders. We had met with the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks back in June 2020, July 2020, and in September 2020. We've also had communications with Ministry of Transportation back in July 2020. And we've also communicated with Ministry of Heritage, Sports, Tourism, Culture Industries back in July of 2020. And we had some subsequent communications more recently on April 29th of 2021 and on June 23rd, 2021. I'll elaborate further on those communications shortly. We've also communicated with Transportation Canada back in July of 2020 and some follow-up communications on May 12th of 2021. And finally, the stakeholders, we did communicate with Canadian Pacific Railway back in November of 2020, and then follow-up communications on March 25th of 2021, and back on April 22nd of 2021. And those final communications was a basic understanding and agreement of using the CPR corridor for getting water from Sturgeon Falls, from Cache Bay to Verner. So a notice of public information center and process closure for the EA process, that was issued and circulated back in April 2021. And during that process, we received 2 public comments, one in June and one in July, both requesting to be added to the study's contact list. One was a private individual, and the other was a news reporter. Mm-hmm. So getting back to the archaeological assessment. Sorry?
No, sorry.
I didn't hear that last comment. Thank you.
Conseil Yvon did not hear who had news reporter. He wanted that.
It didn't specify, or I did not ask the consultants who the news person is. If you wish me to,
no, I don't know. I just didn't hear news reporter. I'm sorry.
A news reporter and a private individual just asked to be on a contact list.
Okay.
Okay. So part of the process requires a stage 1 archaeological assessment report to be conducted. And that was forwarded to the Ministry of Heritage, Sports and Tourism. So they're currently reviewing it at the moment. The study determined that there are large sections. The study determined large sections and areas adjacent to waterways and undisturbed historic travel routes. And thus, there's a high potential for uncovering archaeological resources. As a result, a stage 2 assessment is required. A stage 2 assessment is more field work, and that's going to be conducted during the design phase of the project. During this time period as well, we received 2 communications from interested Indigenous communities. Back in June 30th of 2020, Nipissing First Nations responded to one of our letters asking to be kept informed, and they expressed an interest in the archaeological assessments. On May 14th of 2021, Doki's First Nations asked for controls on the spreading of phragmites, which is an invasive plant species. They're asking for control of their spread and for us to conduct inventories before and after construction. On August 6th of this year, 2021, the consultant replied to Nipissing First Nation, provided them a copy of the archaeological assessment, and invited them at their cost to participate in stage 2 of the archaeological assessments when they're conducted. On the same date of August 6th, we also replied to Dookies First Nation, telling them that we will follow best management practices and protocols to control the prevention of the spread of the phragmites. When the consultant conducts their vegetative surveys, we'll also make note of the presence of the phragmites before and after construction. So moving forward, AECOM, the consultant, will meet with Alan Carell and myself within a few weeks. We're going to sit down and plan the conceptual designs. Once the conceptual designs are looked over, site surveying and geological investigations have to start, and then the conceptual designs will be prepared. Once this information becomes available, we will have to start negotiating with CPR for the municipality to secure an agreement for the future construction. So the reasonable timeframe for what I've described would be December of this year, provided no further delays with engaging with the Ministry of the Environment and CPR. And finally, all this that I've described was approved in our 2021 budget.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. I know that there's a lot to digest here. So perhaps we can just go around the table and start with Yvonne. Yvonne, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Councillor Dan. I'm glad you're doing it. From what you're telling us, it's a proper procedure. The only thing, if you can explain to me what phragmites are.
Peter?
I have to look it up as well. It's an invasive plant species.
Plant.
Planting.
Oh, okay. I'll look it up. I'll Google it. Thank you very much, Emily.
Councillor Yvonne, there was a good article in Bait Today about a week ago. I think I shared it. Oh, I shared it with you, Peter, regarding there's an issue in the Berks Falls area, and there's what they call people that are actually, they even call themselves the Fragment group or something in this much. And they really go, they take this thing really serious, because apparently it has a negative influence on water plants, our water plants, and has an impact on fish. I can share it. I'll share it with council, the article, because I think I did see it somewhere, so I'll find it.
Thank you very much.
I too.
Councillor Chris?
No, that was plenty of information. I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rowley?
No question. Just I'd like to thank Peter for giving us a very good resume. Thank you.
Councillor Leo?
Thank you, Peter, for your information. No questions. Thank you.
Mayor Joanne?
I really want to say thank you, Peter, for the update. It's greatly appreciated, because I was interested in finding out, since the consultation period timeline was finished, what was the next steps and proposed timeline of when we could potentially be finished with the next step, because I know this council talked about the financing for this project, which is not, it has a big ticket item, I believe more than $10 million. And for such a project, we'll definitely need the support by funding partners, the province and the federal government. So once the design is completed, even though we have not received, let's say we proceed with negotiation with CP and the ministry to get the proper licensing, once the design has been all done and we know the actual cost and that we're in negotiation, could this council be in a position at that time to start seeking funding opportunities for this project?
That would be the recommended next step. Yes, we'll be prepared for that.
Okay, and that's what I want to find out as well. And I also want to say thank you on behalf of the residents of Verner, because this year I don't think that there's been issues pertaining to brown water. We did have warm climate, warm weather, but I think with the new chemicals that you had proposed, those chemicals are making a difference.
Yes.
So thank you.
Councillor Denis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Peter, just wondering if you have a goal or a timeline for the end of this project, roughly. Is it a 2 or 3 year project, or what do you anticipate?
As Councillor Rovita had opened, we put a lot of effort in maintaining the current water plant and addressing the dirty water situations we've had in the past. And so we're continuing to ensure that the water treatment plant sustains Werner, and that will allow us the opportunity to be more careful or bias time. That's not the wrong word. It will allow us to proceed more at a controlled rate in terms of securing the money needed in order to move forward with this.
So you don't
really have sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Right. So if opportunities come up within the next year or two, it might be something we should consider. But if opportunities are not available for another 5 years, I'm fairly confident that what currently is in Werner is adequate.
Okay, thanks, Peter.
Councillor Lees.
Thank you very much, Peter. Don't understand much about that. So it seems to have been good information and a good update, because you were very, with the date and everything what you did, so cannot ask for better. So thank you very much. And hopefully at this point of time, that project will be completed and the satisfaction of everybody that's concerned. So thank you, Peter.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. And in conclusion, just to summarize, Peter will continue to keep us apprised. He's been doing a good job since day one on this project of keeping us apprised and of all the various issues. And if anything does come up that the council has to be aware of, that if we have an archaeological find, or we have an issue with negotiations with CPR, council will be the first. But I just want to assure the people of Werner that we are maintaining the plant. The plant's in good shape. As the mayor alluded to, the fact is the water's been good this year. So we're keeping that, it's the same, like it's like a train track, and two things are moving at the same time. And hopefully we'll come to the point where we'll have all the checks and balances done, and we'll be able to move forward with the project. But I just want to emphasize that this is not a thing that you can do overnight. It's very, very controlled. We're dealing with various ministries, and we're dealing with different levels of government. And then once we start going towards financing, it will be the same thing. So let's be patient, and I think we're in good hands. So thank you, Peter, and thank Alan on our behalf also, because I know Alan's partner on this one. So good luck, and I guess the next time you'll be coming to tell us that everything's lined up. Thank you, Peter. So that finishes my part of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, we move on to environment. And I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseil Denis, to be able to deal with the issue. Sorry, Conseil Froli.
Thank you. Okay. You don't
apologies.
You don't want that one, Denis? Okay.
It'll be an easy one.
We have changes coming down the pipe from the government about the blue box transitioning, and I'll let our manager, Jason Sullivan, explain it to council. What's coming? Jason?
Thank you, Councillor Rowley. Thank you for having me. I just briefly wanted to update you guys. It won't take too long. The term blue box transition is something that many of you may have already heard. I wanted to briefly update you on some of the details and possibly answer any questions you may have on this process. It's just at the policy stage, as Rowley had mentioned, and there are still many unknowns. Our plan tonight is to simply update council and to continue the conversation as more detailed information is provided to us. In brief, the province has passed a new regulation that will have municipalities in Ontario transition to full producer responsibility over a 3-year period starting in 2023. In short, that means the producers of the items that go into your blue box will now be solely responsible for the cost of collecting, processing, and the promotion and education of the Blue Box program itself. This is a fundamental change in the policy. As it stands now, there's a 50-50 cost share with producers paying half the cost while taxpayers pay the other half. Once this transition occurs, the cost of managing these wastes will no longer fall on the shoulders of the taxpayers. Transition, there is no expected change at the curb. Whatever services were provided in the past, such as regular curbside collection, will continue as is. The transition is more on a policy and financial side of things. Again, brief as mentioned, more information will provide more specifics onto how this will affect our program directly. But right now, we just want to kind of introduce you guys with the actual policy in place and the transition to the producer responsibility of the waste itself.
Thank you, Jason. And now I'll open the floor, go around and see if there's any questions or comment. I'll start with Councillor Yvon.
Chair. The producer, and as I read it, the producer will bear the costs and the responsibility. Now, the cost will, and we all know what happened with that cost, and that cost will be put on the item or that they're selling. Okay, and it'll fall in, and realistically, the consumer will end up paying for that extra cost. And he is responsible for that himself. So, it's unfortunate because I've seen through the years where we've had a lot of influence on recyclable items and ensuring that items could be recyclable and utilized. And for this, I couldn't believe what I was seeing is that these milk crates that these people were bringing to the consumers or to the stores were left outside to be picked up by whoever wanted one. And I couldn't understand why there wasn't recycled. And there was a lack of people taking that responsibility. And I think now producers should look at this with respect to saying, well, if we're selling a jar of something, maybe we can reclaim that jar and recycle it. And it's the same as these milk crates, and it's the same as the wood crates. If you notice, the wood crates are not being picked up. So these are all items that the government should look at and have them. And now the producer, if they're going to bear the cost, they're probably going to recycle these and say, well, we'll take them back and we'll reuse them. And it's probably a good concept. And I thank you, Jason, for bringing this up. And I think the government is doing something good, but as long as it ends up coming back and it's reusable, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yvon. I do acknowledge and agree with what you're saying. I think the government is also looking at the companies that are making small items and then selling it in a really big package. And I think this is where they would like the packaging to be smaller, so that would cost less to the company. So, okay, we'll keep going with Councillor Chris. Have any questions or comments?
I just have one question, direct for you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Sullivan. So this one line here, after the program transitions, producers will determine how the Blue Box program operates in Ontario. So that to me sounds like a recipe for disaster. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, they'll have control of the material and how they want it to be processed. So there's a variety of ways that they can do that. Those questions are still kind of up in the air right now. They will control the waste as it is. Right now, the process is, here you go, municipality, it's your responsibility, see you later.
Okay.
The idea of that line was, now it's the other way. They are now responsible for it. How they choose to transition, the likelihood is that things will remain the same, and they have committed to maintaining, if you have curbside collection, will remain curbside collection. But, might they hire different contractors? Might they, use different blue boxes? Might they use 2 stream instead of 1 stream? That's what that line item was pertaining to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chris. I'll move on to Councillor Leo. Leo Madet.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank Jason for the info. I have no questions. Everything is clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leo. Now we'll move on to Councillor Dan Rivita.
Thank you, Jason. The information was dead on. I have no question.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Councillor Denis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are they going to be responsible for the landfill aspect of it?
No, this is strictly blue box and the blue box material.
Okay, and you guys, like your department, would you be a contractor for them, or would you stay with the?
Potentially. So those are some of the questions, and those are some of the things that are still right now. They're just at the policy, the completion of the policy. So those are the things that we brought forth. Might they hire other contractors? Might they continue to hire us? Those are still questions that we don't have at this point. But West Nipissing Environmental Service and the municipality is still responsible for landfill activities, still responsible for all the other stuff. This is strictly the blue box program itself, which includes the collection of the blue boxes and then the recycling depots.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Denis. Councillor Dees.
Okay, well, I'll go with Madame Mayor because she was before Councillor Denis, so I'll let her go and I'll finish. I'm the last one on the list.
If you wish, would you like to go first, Madam Mayor?
Well, that's her turn, not my turn.
I just want to say thank you, Jason. I'm confident that we'll get more information as the transition moves forward, right?
Of course, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madame Maire. Councillor Dees.
Oui, merci beaucoup, Jason. Très bien, de la bonne information. Seule chose, commentaire, je vais dire là-dessus, ça ne fait pas rien la façon que ça va aller. Ils vont l'enlever, ils vont nous le donner peut-être sur le bord des taxes, puis ils vont nous le reprendre sur l'autre parce qu'ils vont se faire payer en quelque part, tout le monde là-dedans. Il n'y a pas personne qui fait rien aujourd'hui.
Yeah, likely.
Même si c'est leur responsabilité, ils chargent pour. So, but thank you very much. I read I mean, it's coming. There's about 225, right? It's going to be in place. And
yes. Yeah. So that's our anticipated transition date, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Jason.
Awesome, cool.
Thank you, Councillor Dees. So yes, it is between 2023 and 2025 that's coming down. So I guess we got our warning. So with this,
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question to Jason while he's there present?
Definitely.
I'm sorry. A question that I've been bothering me, something we pay for.
Excuse me, is it geared toward the blue box?
Well, it's a question about recycling. Okay, yeah, the blue box recycling. The plastic bags that we pay for at the grocery stores and they collect 5 cents for it. Where does that money go? Does Jason, would you know?
That's likely going to the people who sell the plastic bags. So a lot of these grocery stores and stuff are in contracts with these producers of the plastic bags. So these kind of historical charges are still in place. Some areas do have the ability to recycle some of those low density plastic bags. Around here, we don't.
So that 5 cents was imposed by the government though at one given time.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and now they will be producers of waste and accountable for the bags. So this is, something that can be managed in a proper way instead of these kind of here and there and different things. There'll be provincial-wide legislation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yvon. So this concludes my portion of the meeting. Madam Mayor, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. We proceed to the regular portion, la séance régulière. We move on to planning. Resolution F1, mover and a seconder. Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Lise.
Just one moment.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. My apologies. I set them aside so I wouldn't lose them. Well, this is ridiculous. Please excuse me.
C'est correct, ça arrive, ça. Il y en a assez de papier, ces papiers.
Oh, my word.
You got it?
I found them. I closed them.
Okay.
My apologies.
We'll give you all the
Don't
time
worry
you need,
about
Bill.
C'est correct. So it was Conseil Yvon, Conseil Alice for the F1 to assume dedicated lands for public highway.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be resolved that bylaw number 2021-56 being a bylaw to accept, assume, and dedicate lands for public highway purposes will come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Any questions, comments, any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried, adopté. Is there a mover and a seconder to amend the zoning bylaw at 115 Landfield Road from M1 to M2? Conseil Denis, Conseil Leo.
It is moved by Councillor Denis Senecal and seconded by Councillor Mallette. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-57 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2014-45 to rezone certain lands located at 12471 Highway 17 East and 1515 Landfill Site Road in Sturgeon Falls from light industry M1 to heavy industry M2 shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Are there any questions? Aucune question, Conseil Brûlé.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this is the that's the road going into the dump. Now, this is a gravel road, so we have to make sure that in the springtime, that during the half load season, I know our road has been reconstructed, so I'm sure that this would be, I guess the load restriction could be followed if there is. It's just a precaution that I'm talking about.
No. You phrased a concern, and the concern is recorded, and confident that with public work authorities, when it comes to protecting our infrastructure, our roads at springtime, that's going to be a road also that's not out of the equation. That's going to be part of the equation.
Yes, I've noticed it's just a short period of the road at the beginning, so there shouldn't be but it could be constructed to where it would be usable year round, but it just at this time, I don't think it is. So we just make it. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? None? Are there any objections? Aucune objection. None? Carried, adopté. On procède avec correspondance et in accounts, courrier et compte to adopt a mover and a seconder for the June 15 council meeting. Conseiller Dan, need a seconder. Conseiller Leo.
It is moved by Councillor Rovita and seconded by Councillor Mallette. Be it resolved that the minutes of the meeting of council held on June the 15th, 2021 be adopted as presented.
Are there any questions or comments? Conseiller Denis, Conseiller Alice.
Okay, moi j'ai une question sur la page 11, and I think I know the answer, but I just want to make sure. 611, 612, 613, it's for West Nipissing Water and Sewer and Hydro. Because I was under the impression that
Alice, we are dealing with the June 15th council minutes.
I'm not at the right place. I thought I heard
you are not at the right place, so I'm going to pass it back to Conseiller Denis that had his hand up.
Sorry.
I think I'm at the right place there, but Melanie, go to the minutes for D3. One of 7 for the 15th. Are you there?
Can you speak a little louder, Denis?
Yes, I can if you want. I'm just waiting for Melanie to find the
I see D1, Environmental Services Budget.
It says here there was a consensus on the number of bins to be placed in Lavigne, and there was no clear consensus on the numbers of bins to be placed in Lavigne and the matter of how many bins be left to the manager. So if we recall the discussion, council did vote for 6 bins and matter how the left to the manager. So and we approved it in the budget, the solid waste budget. So could we correct that in the minutes?
I'm just, can you please explain that again? I'm just not clear on what it is.
Just the last sentence on that paragraph. It says there was no clear consensus on the number of bins to be placed in Living and the matter of how many bins be left to the manager. And that's not what we voted on. The council voted for 6 bins to be placed in Living.
Yeah.
It's also been adopted in the solid waste budget. We
So-
did that night, I guess.
So based on your suggestion, Conseiller Denis, maybe remove that entirety and just say council agreed to 6 bins as per the recommendation of the manager.
Or whatever is convenient, you can state it as you want. I just want it clear that
I think that's what.
we did
Yeah.
go to 6 bins.
Yes, 6 bins and we're taking it out of reserve, yes.
And it was recommended by Monsieur Barbeau.
Excuse. Let's give the time to the clerk to
Yeah.
do the modification.
I just changed it to council agreed that 6 bins be placed in Living. Is that sufficient?
What is it?
Council agreed that the recommended 6 bins be placed at the site.
The manager of waste management suggested 6,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
and we agreed. We agreed on 6.
The council agreed to the recommendation of the manager.
Yep.
Yes.
Are there any other questions or comments pertaining to none? Okay. So we did have a mover and a seconder. So this would be for the minutes as amended.
Correct.
Is everyone in favor? Adopted, carried. On procède avec G2, the June 22nd special council minutes. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Yvon, I need a seconder. Conseiller Chris.
Moved by Councillor Duhayman, seconded by Councillor Fisher. Be it resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on June the 22nd, 2021 be adopted as presented.
Are there any questions or comments? Conseiller Alice.
Yes, I do have a question. It's E1, and it's regarding payment of a fee. And it said, be it resolved that council hereby authorize the head of council to authorize and approve the following invoice. Well, I don't think the head of council approve. It's council that approve invoice. So I think there were whatever jump of something, but the head of council should be moved from there because the mayor doesn't approve our disbursement or something like that. So and then we had discussed that. So I would like to see it amended that it would read, be it resolved that council hereby authorize and approve the following invoice payable, blah, blah, blah. So because that's the way the head of council doesn't approve the invoice. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Does he sign the check or whatever? I don't think so. So it's a mistake. It happened.
Conseiller Denis.
It's just a comment on F4 or F6, sorry. Correspondence, Integrity Commissioner. I just want to comment that I haven't received my apology yet, and I'm not sure. It's not really clear in the minutes of where we're supposed to go with this. But I just want to inform council that I did not receive any apologies, publicly or otherwise. So I just want to, I don't know if the minutes should reflect that or.
Well, I think the minutes, if I may, Conseil Denis, they do reflect what was the will of council the night that we did discuss. And basically, council agreed that there'd be public apologies for both of the complaints. That was the will of council. Subsequently to that, there was information provided in the media, but you know what, there's additional information also that we are aware that if there's no apology provided, the issue can be dealt with at a subsequent meeting and dealing with the issue pertaining to the municipal act. So hopefully there, what I will say is, okay, we got the information received from you, and if there's no apology done prior to the next meeting, we can also add a request to deal with the issue of the non-apology.
No need to reflect it in the minutes, right?
No, no change to the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so coming back to the amended minutes as identified, we had a mover and a seconder. Is everyone in agreement? I do. Okay, sorry. Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Carried, adoptee.
Okay,
Okay.
but with the amendment though.
Yes, as amended.
No, but you didn't say as amended.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting me, as amended.
Mel, is it clear, Mel?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
On procède à résolution pour le 13 de juillet, les minutes. A mover and a seconder. Conseil Denis, Conseil Léo.
Is moved by Councillor Denis Senecal and seconded by Councillor Mallette. Be resolved that the minutes of the meeting of council held on July the 13th, 2021 be adopted as presented.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments pertaining to the minutes? Okay. The only comment that, just as a follow-up, it has nothing, no changes to the minutes. It was the item D3B where we had received safety concerns on Canal Road. We had talked about, it was identified by Councillor Chris that there was potentially a new device that was going to be purchased by the police detachment. And also that the matter would be discussed with the manager of public work for input to see whether or not if a speed bump would be conducive or not. I know that some affected residents are still asking if there's any update to that discussion of July 13th. So Councillor Chris and Conseil Denis, would it be possible to find out through the police department, through the detachment commander, if that device has been purchased, if it's been purchased, when it can be installed? And is there an opportunity for staff to give us an update, if not this evening, subsequently to this meeting, pertaining to what the manager of public work would recommend to reduce the speed? Because right now it's prime season where they have more speed, more
traffic,
motor vehicles traveling that road. Okay, so there'll be follow-up done. Wait, no?
Wait.
Public Works,
Yeah,
yes? Sorry.
Christopher, we didn't hear you.
J'ai pas compris, Councillor Chris.
Yeah, yes, I've made a note of that.
Okay, thank you. Coming back to the actual resolution, those in favor, en faveur, adopté, carried. Mover and a seconder for G4 Planning Advisory Committee meeting of April 12 and June 14. Conseil Yvon, Conseil Alice.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that the minutes of the West Nipissing Planning Advisory Committee meetings held on April the 12th and June the 14th, 2021 be adopted as presented.
Are there any questions? None? Any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried, adopté. G5, minutes from various boards and committees. A mover and a seconder. Conseiller Léo, Conseiller Lise.
It is moved by Councillor Mallette and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that the minutes of the following boards and committees be received. West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment, May 10th. West Nipissing Police Services Board, April 7th. West Nipissing Public Library Board, May 13th. And District of Nipissing Social Services Administration Board, May 26th.
Are there any questions or comments? Aucune question ou commentaire? None. I just, pertaining to the police board minutes, Wednesday, April 7th. I just want to make reference as good news when I read this, because I know it's an issue that's often is being asked, that on the last page, item 16B, criminal record check, the background checks currently cannot be done at the detachment here in Sturgeon, either in North Bay or Warren by appointment. But once the new detachment is ready, background checks will be made available in West Nipissing. So I wanted to share that good news because I know there's been always many inquiries pertaining to the criminal record check. And under number 12, the new station, the tour and update, and it states everything should be completed by the end of July and the building should be functional by September, but that there's no rush because we currently have a temporary detachment, and that there's going to be additional information that comes back from the detachment commander. So I guess I just want to ask the question to our CEO. We will be approving a lease agreement prior to the actual detachment moving in the new building.
Likely so. It would depend on whether all of the numbers are finalized, because the way the lease is structured and the lease rate is structured on the 5248 recapture, we have to know what we're recapturing. So we can't have a final lease to sign until we're actually finalizing everything. But technically, the lease will be basically, a plug-in amount that is standardized. But hopefully, all of the numbers can come in and we can have a final document on time.
Okay. Okay. So coming back to the actual minutes, those in favor, faveur. Adopté, carried. On procède avec les déboursés le mois d'avril et le mois de mai. We need a resolution for G6, a mover and a seconder. Conseiller Léo, Conseiller Yvon.
It was moved by Councillor Mallette and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Be it resolved that the accounts payable disbursement sheets for April and May 2021 be received.
Are there any questions or comments? Conseiller Lise?
Am I at the right place now? Okay, so it's in May. The package is in May 2021, and it's number 611, 612, and 613, and it's hydro and water and sewer for the Cache Bay Trailer Park. So I think I know the answer, but because in our contract, he is responsible to pay that. But so what is the story behind that? Alicia, are you you're still there? I can see you. So
yeah, if I may, so yes, he's responsible for paying it, but his term started in May, so hydro always lags. So this is from the period where there was no operator in place.
This is what I thought it was. So thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor.
Do you have a question?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Is there anyone else that has a question? No? Okay. I just wanted, and even if I don't get the answer this evening, but subsequently, I've noticed that going through the two packages that we nearly have a sum of legal fees in the range of $20,000. Just the package of April, there's more than 12,000 different line items for Hicks Morley, and there's other expenditures throughout the two packages. Is it possible to get a breakdown like we've got in the past in regards to what those expenditures are?
If you're referring to the report that we did at the end of the year, if it's, sort of the will of council, we can put something together mid-year, but, is that council's direction then?
Okay, well, instead of looking at a report, if a member of council wanted to see the invoices, are we entitled to do that? This way it doesn't create the added work. As an individual elected official, we are entitled to see invoices, right?
Not entirely, other than some of the information contained in terms of their descriptions may have some legal privilege issues.
Okay.
And that wouldn't be allowed. So it would depend on what the nature of the service is.
Okay, well, I think with the, it just, looking at both the expenditures between legal fees, some could be land transaction, other could be HR, other could be whatever. I was looking at something generic to have an idea of exactly what those expenditures were for. So do I need to ask the question to find out from members of council, or can we just bring it back maybe at a subsequent meeting to find out if council has the interest of obtaining the information? So we'll just put it on the subsequent meeting.
Well, excuse me, that's kind of jumping the gun here.
Or maybe not. No, excuse Jay.
Oh, I'd like to know what your is a little unclear to me. And then if there is a report being prepared for all of council, I think, yeah, I'd like all of council to concur. I'm not suggesting it's a bad idea if you need an explanation, but
no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Instead of make it, I'm not recommending to make a decision this evening. We can discuss that at a subsequent meeting because it's not on the agenda.
Fair enough.
Okay. Donc, on a adopté la résolution qui a été passée. I need to find out from the clerk, did we vote on the issue? No way. Okay.
Mayor, I would like to have the 4 minutes. It's just a question. I've seen a question, Travis. So I've seen in the disbursement quite a few places. There's a contractor and the same amount in 2 lines. That's not a glitch, a computer glitch. It's exactly the amount.
Can you identify which numbers, line numbers?
Okay,
staff?
79 and 80. Same contractor, same amount. And I've seen that throughout the disbursement sheet on numerous places. The same amount. So
I assume you mean April.
Yes, it is
April.
April.
I'm finding it. What happens is that sometimes occasionally you might have a service that is just a routine service that gets the same amount, but sometimes what happens is that when we split it, so if we've got a contractor doing a job, but we're splitting the expense between water distribution and sewer collection, then you're going to see it as 2 lines in the distribution sheet just because of how it posts in our system. Or if we're splitting it, that one I see as the complex. If it's something that we're splitting between pool and arena or something like that, occasionally we might have the actual same amount, but usually it's because we're just splitting it between different departments.
Okay, thank you. I'm all okay with this, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So coming back to the resolution for both disbursements, April and May, if any objections, aucune objection, none, carried, adopté. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. I know that we have quite a few things right now to proceed with, and some are issues, of operations, and other, some are very time sensitive that basically need to be dealt with. I need a mover and a seconder to be able to extend the curfew. I see that Well, it's 9:30. Conseil Léo, Conseil Rowley.
It is moved by Councillor Mallet and seconded by Councillor Larrabee. At approximately 9:30 p.m., a motion was tabled to extend the meeting beyond the regular curfew in order to proceed with the agenda.
So who's in favor of being able to proceed with the agenda? Show of hands, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
We can't do it.
Show of hands, please, for those that wish to proceed beyond the curfew of 9:30. I need to be able to see a show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Puis même si ça serait 5, c'est pas majorité comme.
C'est 2 tiers aussi que ça prend.
Oh, wait. That's what five would be majority?
No, you would need 2/3 according to our procedural bylaw. 2 tiers pour être en mesure de procéder. Il y a 4 mains de levée.
What if we went 10 minutes beyond?
Well, we gotta follow the procedure. I'm sorry, but why don't we do a special meeting to finish everybody? Everything. We always the same vote. And after 3 hours, I think it's enough. And it's not fair because there's things that need to be dealt with. So it's not an hour of our time during the day. We all, and the minutes, everything is ready. It's not like
Okay,
we're doing more work.
Conseil, yeah, I agree. There are, there's time sensitive issues, but there's some issues that also need to, that require a resolution even before the end of this week. Okay.
Make a special
and
meeting
we
before
are
the end of the
to-
week. We need 24, 48 hours for a special meeting and let's get it over with everything.
So let's extend 15 minutes.
Yeah, let's extend 15 minutes.
Let's extend it.
Okay.
15 minutes.
No, I'm not willing to extend, so why are we discussing it? We voted, let's go. It's done.
So I saw 1, 2, 3, 4 hands that were, that lifted for the resolution to extend.
And it would take 6.
So,
Maybe does Dan understand? He went to his phone.
okay. There's only one item that I hate to, I'm not the one that has the entitlement to pick and choose, but, and there's 2/3 majority that's needed. There's a wedding that's scheduled this upcoming weekend and they need an exemption for the noise bylaw. Would there be 2/3 majority that we proceed with the noise exemption for this wedding? Because I mean, fairness to these residents. Okay, so can we move to the resolution G set, request for exemption of noise bylaw, which is scheduled to take place at 306 Malo Road. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseil Rowley, Conseil Chris.
It is moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Whereas a request was received from Lynn Bigara and Rock Rochon seeking council's authorization for an exemption to the municipal noise bylaw in order to host a wedding celebration. Be it resolved that council authorizes an exemption of the West Nipissing Municipality Noise Bylaw 199975 for a wedding celebration requested by Lynn Bigara and Rock Rochon, which will take place at 306 Mellow Road in Sturgeon Falls on Saturday, August 21st until 1 a.m.
Any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried, adoptée.
Madam Mayor, B7 was moved to J10. Why not deal with that issue right now? Why was it-
No.
On n'a pas discuté de le sujet, la matière. Faut qu'on
Well, you
discute
can
la
talk- Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So unless I'm told by staff that there's something that needs to be decided before the end of this week.
Madam Mayor, we're
Okay,
going
thank you.
beyond and I mean,
Thank
that's
you.
it,
I
that's
will
all.
respect, Conseil Alice, I'll respect the vote and the outcome. So we're gonna need a resolution for the adjournment. Is there a mover and a seconder?
That was done on purpose.
Excuse, Conseil Léo? Conseil Leo.
I can repeat, I heard it was done on purpose.
No, it's not done on purpose. And if you want to know, Conseil Leo, just to clarify, there were 4 hands that raised to proceed beyond the curfew, and you need 6 hands. You need 6, 2/3 of the members present, according to our procedural bylaw.
Okay.
So anyway, coming back to the resolution for adjournment, sorry, Mel, I don't know if I recorded a mover and a seconder. No? Conseil Yvon? Conseil Elise?
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-61, being a bylaw of the West Nipissing Municipality, to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 17th of August, 2021, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Those in favor of 5? Okay, I just saw 2 hands. I'm just going to say any objections. That's going to make it easier. Aucune objection, none, carried, adopté.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Lee Senecal. Be it resolved that the meeting of council on August 17th, 2021 be adjourned.
Any objections? None, carried, adopté. François, and I'll take the initiative to discuss with her staff for our next meeting to see what's the next step if there's a special meeting that's required.